President Biden in New York City today trying to show fearful Americans that he is ready to get tough on crime. The president meeting with Mayor Eric Adams while cities across the country see a surge in violence. But instead of going after the liberal policies being blamed for the spike, the president was very much laser focused on guns.
We want to crack down on the flow of firearms used to commit violence. That includes taking on and shutting down rogue gun dealers. It's about doing background checks. This doesn't violate anybody's Second Amendment right. There's no violation of a Second Amendment right. We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon.
And with Democrats facing backlash for defunding the police, President Biden is trying to reset that message.
The answer is not to abandon our streets. That's not the answer. We're not about defunding. We're about funding and providing the additional services you need beyond someone with a gun strapped to their shoulder. I don't hear many communities, no matter what their color, their background, saying, I don't want more protection in my community. I don't know. I haven't found one of those yet.
So, Greg, a lot of build up to today's visit. What did you think?
He's terrible. And I don't like to get hyperbolic, but he really is bad. And really, even on something as prepared as that, it's embarrassing to watch. On nearly every metric regarding law and order, the Dems have screwed the pooch. It's no wonder the White House dog is so miserable. It's infuriating, though. You see the Democrats swoop down to solve a catastrophe that they themselves created. Yeah. What they're resetting is the thing that they destroyed because they picked the wrong side. They obeyed the woke. They abandoned society and victims of crime. And now it took this display, the visual display of suffering, to get them to worry because they needed an optic. They needed something to go, oh, this could hurt me. And it shows you what the woke obsession replaced. The woke has said, oh, we're helping replace racism in society. No, you replace the spinal fortitude of the Democratic Party. That's what's missing. They lost the balls to go after criminals, right? They can't criminalize crime. They now look at victims as actual, well, everybody's a victim now. You're a victim of society. It's really depressing when you see, he didn't talk about the revolving door, no cash bail, the reduced sentencing. These are, or the policies that those widows succinctly described and condemned. He didn't even talk about gangs. Instead, they go after gun manufacturers as opposed to gunmen. The people getting pushed in front of subways were not shot. The people getting stabbed were not shot. So the conclusion is only Republicans can do this because they're the only people who understand incentives and disincentives, and they're not afraid of criminalizing crime. Democrats, they're done, emasculated, castrated. They allowed the woke to strip them of any kind of spine. It's over for them. They have to get the hell out of dealing with criminals.
Okay, Judge, you wanted us to play one thing because he's talking about Biden. Can we just play this and get your full commentary? Because this is Joe Biden in 1993.
They must be taken off the street for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Very different.
Okay, very different. So for those of you who think that he doesn't know how to handle crime, he knows how to handle crime. He knew how to handle it in 93. His language wasn't so great, but he knew what he had to do. Greg, this is not a resetting. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who came in for a photo op. Yeah. This was not a reset. He's talking about background checks. Are you kidding me? If I buy a gun in Harlem, you think that I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute, I want to do a background check? He's also talking about the fact that he doesn't know of one community that doesn't want more protection. Hey, Congress doesn't want more protection. The squad doesn't want more protection. Most of the Democrats don't want more protection. And the other thing is he didn't address the problem. The problem in New York is very simple. Number one, there is criminal privilege. They don't get arrested. If they do, they get released. They don't get prosecuted. If the president were serious, number one, he would have said, I'm going to meet with the governor about discussing whether or not the DAs are enforcing the law. We don't need any new laws. We've got the laws. Number two, I want to talk with the head of the legislatures to make sure that they at least give judges discretion to hold violent offenders. Now, number three, he says, We've got the federal prosecutors who are going to help us with gun prosecutions. That's hogwash. In the whole United States in 2020, do you know how many federal gun crimes were prosecuted, allegedly, in 50 states? 12,000. That's like 200 a state. I mean, those numbers are an embarrassment. They don't know how to do it. This is all nonsense talk. It's got nothing to do with changing anything, and it won't.
Geraldo?
Well, I think that, first of all, I agree with a lot of what Greg said. Where I differ is the bending over backwards, it seems to me, to protect the Second Amendment, where it becomes so obvious that it seems agenda-driven. Guns are what is different from when I was your age and when I was, a street reporter. In those days, there was plenty of knifing, plenty of violence. There was crack. There was everything. And I think you're going to do crack on your show tonight, right, Jeff?
We are.
The difference is
not
on my show tonight.
Everybody's got a gun now, and everybody's using a gun now. That is what's different. So I want full stop. That's the point I want to make on that. The other thing is I thought that Biden going and standing with Mayor Adams was a good thing. I mean, I appreciated that he came. The city feels very troubled for someone born and raised here and who adores the city. I feel that there's a real vibe, a scared vibe that I don't like. And I appreciate that the president came and spoke to the mayor. And I really believe that this mayor is the guy. I think that this guy he understands that Moore and Rivera and their passing was a very monumental and epic event. The fact that there was 2 Hispanic cops and Sumit Sulan, the 27-year-old, I think South Asian, I'm not sure what his background is. I mean, it's a different police force. It's reflecting the ethnic makeup of the city. We get it now. I want to bring back stop and frisk. I want to talk to Bill Bratton and the old guys, Ray Kelly. How can we make this better, make people feel better about it? But I do believe that guns are what is different.
Well, there were more shootings and homicides in the 80s during the crack epidemic than there are now.
True.
Yet there's more gun ownership now, so I'm not sure that makes any sense, Geraldo. Joe Biden said he was a friend of law enforcement his whole career, right? We're supposed to believe that. He walks into this meeting today, room packed full of law enforcement. No one barely even clapped. Yeah. They clapped louder for Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. I mean, could you imagine if Trump walked into a room like that? This place would be on their feet. They know he's not their friend. So he gets up there, doesn't say a damn thing about the DA, doesn't say anything about the dumb bail laws. It would be like some football team, Greg, I know it's a football analogy, try to follow along, losing 28-3. The head coach goes into the locker room after the game and just starts chewing out the offense and saying, you guys only scored 3 points. You guys got to put it in the end zone. Meanwhile, defense gave up 4 touchdowns. This is a team effort. You can't have the police doing one thing and the DA's not doing the other thing. It's all got to work together, and he doesn't understand that. Right now, he was a typical politician. He comes in and he takes the easy way out, right? He didn't want to talk about the left. And for a guy that loves root causes, never said anything, as you said, about gangs, about the culture of violence, about narcotics trafficking. He just left it alone. So here's my advice to the president. Pretend like you're a one-term president, because you are. You're term limited. Have that mentality, right? Forget about the donors. Forget about the squad. Do what you think is right to protect the people, and I think the people will reward you for that.